As you look at student assessments, one of the biggest things is how do you know if your students are learning? And by doing so, you have to have, as a teacher, really have both formative and summative assessments worked into your curriculum. So, today, what I'm going to share with you is my unit overview for one of the classes that I teach. So, this is for my retail marketing class, and it focuses on retail business strategies. So, one of the things that I look at whenever I'm developing a new unit or a new chapter or a new course is what is it that the students need to be able to demonstrate to me as we finish a unit? And by doing so, that really helps create what those summative assessments are going to be and how they're going to demonstrate their learning. The other part is that formative side. So how do I know if the students are starting to get it? And by doing that, really what you're doing is integrating both of those types of assessments to really be able to not only understand as a teacher what student learning is happening, but also for your students to be able to demonstrate what they're learning as well and to be able to have those classroom discussions of what's going on within those. So like I said, I build these for all of my units that I teach in classes. And really I do it for me, but I also do it for our students to make sure that like we have a game plan and we know where we're headed. So the first thing I always do is I list out my course standards. So really demonstrating what are those course standards that we're going to have. And sometimes the units will have them in it and sometimes they won't. But more than likely, they're they're assessed on each of those standards at one point during it. The other thing I look at is essential questions. What is it that students should be able to answer by the time that we finish our unit? For whatever it is. And then some definitions that they should be able to define or recognize and even tell me what they mean or even use them in their assessments. And then here's kind of the big thing that I look at is like, what are those formative assessments? So these are each of the chapters within my retail business strategy. So it talks about what we're going to talk about. And then it's like, what is that? So, like, how are they going to demonstrate it? So, whether it's a worksheet or an activity or even a study guide that they're going to complete, something to show me that they're really working through those types of sections. And then the last part is that summative assessment. So, for this summative assessment, they had two parts. So, they did have an exam, and it was on the retail strategy. So my exams that I use in my classes, they are different components. So sometimes they're short answers in an essay case problem that they have to figure out. Sometimes it's matching and multiple choice, but it always has something to do with all of those essential questions and really being able for the students to critically think and solve a problem within the strategy or within the unit that we're going through. The other part that's my summative assessment is because this is my retail class, it directly corresponds with my school based enterprise. So we have a retail school based enterprise, and the students have to create a catalog for our school store. So they actually have to work together. We spend a day, and the students will take pictures of everything that's in the school store. And then I upload them to Google Drive so they're easy access to like grab. And then they actually create it's now it used to be like a physical catalog project, but now it's an online catalog project where they have to go through and create this catalog project that goes with. So not only is it incorporating that school-based enterprise side of things, but it's also what their way of demonstrating their knowledge of our retail business strategy. So really thinking through like who your target markets are and where you're going to be selling your products and your SWOT analysis, etc. So those are some pretty big things that we talk about within this retail business strategy of what works. And then the last thing I always use, because I never want to forget what my resources are that I'm using, but these are the resources that I use a lot. So I use like Retail Brew, I use my textbooks, CNBC, Advertising Age, all of those types of things as we kind of go through. But these are really helpful things to have, like I said, to really be able to demonstrate what my unit expectations are, but really to make sure that I have both formative and summative assessments that align directly to my standards.